Today we have the Chief Executive Officer of Stay Express and President and CEO of Hotel BizLink magazine, Sharif Khan. Having started a hotel franchise from start to finish, Sharif knows all about the ins and outs of the hotel franchising business. Today, he will let us know what to look out for when choosing a franchise, how to handle unreasonable pips, the downside of hotel franchising, and what you should do when it's time to sell your hotel franchise. All this and more on today's True Hotel Leaders, where leaders teach leaders. Lately, more and more guests don't carry cash with them, which means the housekeepers aren't getting as many tips as they used to. We Tip Hotels allow guests to tip your employees with their credit card, and it doesn't cost your hotel a dime. Get your employees more money at WeTipHotels.com. Hey, what's going on? You know who it is. It's Bruce Jordan, and you're tuning into another episode of True Hotel Leaders. Today we have the man himself, the Khan, that is Sharif Khan. And he's going to be talking about franchising, everything that we need to know about franchising, contracts, agreements. He is the founder of Stay Express. He went from being a hotel owner-operator to a developer to a franchisee, and he went from a franchisee to a franchisor. So he knows a lot about the franchise business when it comes to hotels. So what's going on, man? Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, pleasure, man. All is well, man. Good.
I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that. You know, with the market growing and things changing just so fast, you know, a lot of people don't know if franchising is still the best option. When it comes to hotels, you have a lot of hotels that as soon as their agreement is finished, they're like, yeah, I'm done with franchising. I'm going independent. I'm going to save a bunch of money. I'm not doing this anymore. So what's your take? Like, what do you think? Where is franchising at, and where is it going within the next 2 to 5 years?
Wow, that's a pretty deep question. Franchising. To be honest with you, franchising is here to stay.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Franchising is not going anywhere. One of the reasons for that is if you want to operate a successful hotels, you need to have some sort of structures in place, right? Guest wants to see structured hotels. They want to make sure that there's certain elements of franchising is in effect, because they feel like, okay, if the hotel is franchised, it'll probably be better clean, well maintained. Mm-hmm. You know, there's certain amenities in place, right? Mm-hmm. Some of the stuff that the guests are used to. So when you're looking into an independent property versus a franchised property, mm-hmm. The perspective of guest is truly different. I'm not saying for all property. There are guests who stays in independent, mm-hmm. but you know, I'm talking about there's quite a bit of a market segment that looks forward to staying a hotel that is a part of a certain network. Okay. You follow what I mean?
Absolutely. You know, especially the most important thing is, I think a lot of people are they're just tired of the franchise agreements and the contracts. When they first go into it, you know, the hotel business is a little new for them. Yeah. So they don't know some of the things to watch out for when it comes to those agreements, and they don't. It's like buying a lemon. Like, you know, when you buy a lemon, you buy a car, it doesn't work. I know exactly what you mean. You know, I'm taking my mechanic next time. I'm not buying this car by myself. So what are some of the things they really need to look out for when it comes to franchise agreements?
Well, you know, when you're getting into franchising, one of the things that you want to make sure that the relationship is a two-way street, not a one-way street. Mm-hmm. Typically, you know, we are accustomed to an one-way street. And the reason it's a one-way street is that you're dealing with a fee structures assumably high, okay? You know, typical franchising fees are somewhere from, you know, 10% to it can go up to, and I've seen some people paying as high as 25% in their total fees. Ooh. That's, I've seen those, because, you know, they don't know how they're operating and whatnot, and all kinds of fees and stuff that gets on, and, you know, there's a lot of third party involved, and at the end of the day, they're actually truly giving away, you know, 10 to, you know, 25% of their hard-earned money under this entire umbrella. So you want to make sure that you look into the line items when you're getting into the franchising. But more than that, you want to look at, okay, what is going to be my initial fee as I'm joining, right? That's number one. How long is this contract going to be? Usually, most of the franchising companies like to tie franchisees down with a long-term contract and liquidated damage. Nothing new, right? So that's the name of the game, right? So you want to make sure that it's a two-way street. And oftentimes I tell that, okay, whatever brand that you're engaging with, make sure that you can afford it. And end of the day, you have money in your pocket to satisfy the brand that you're getting in.
What's the average length of a franchise contract? Because I know there's some franchises out there that don't have an expiration date on their contract. I'm like, you mean we're going to be together for life? I'm like, that's like a marriage to me. That's not like a business deal. Like I want to be together with you for life. I'm sorry,
to answer that, I have seen some of those contracts myself. Being in the industry pretty much all my life, I grew up. I mean, I've been in the hospitality industry almost, I feel like since I have opened my eyes, I have done pretty much everything there is to do within the hospitality industry. Yeah. There's not something that you can come and say, have you done it? I've done it, right? Whether it was, mopping, whether it was cleaning, whether it was doing the rooms, whether it was serving, whether it was doing ballet, whether it was parking car, you name it. There's nothing within this industry that I haven't done. So having to say that, what you want to make sure is that contract that you're signing, that it does have some sort of an exit strategy.
Okay.
Don't do any business without having any kind of exit strategy. And you should think about that upfront.
Okay.
Not sign the contract that actually have a liquidated damage. And most of these does, have the liquidated damage. You follow what I mean?
Absolutely.
So you want to look at, when you're looking at that liquidated damage, start your negotiation and said, okay, what's my exit strategy? What are going to be my liquidated damage? But what's going on is that within the industry, I'm going to infuse one line, is that the people think that it's normal, and it is normal to get into a long-term contract and liquidated damage type of it. But I still say that, hey, whatever brand you're engaging with, make sure you negotiate, and whatever you're negotiating and whatever your exit strategy is, put that into perspective. Now, don't act blind.
Now, how does that work with a hotel investor whose whole strategy is to sell the hotel after 3 to 5 years, build up some equity, and maybe sell the property? How are they liable in that franchise contract when they sell to someone else?
Oh man, perfect questions. Actually, excellent question, by the way, excellent question. This is something that oftentimes people overlooked, and you have asked the right questions. So if, let's say you're with XYZ brand and you have signed the contract, and that's a long-term contract with a liquidated damage. And most of your contracts are long-term contract and liquidated damage. It's got a liquidated damage. Clause in it, liquidated damage clause in it. So what happens is, you as a seller, you're looking for a buyer that's going to basically take on
that contract? No way.
That's exactly what happens. So if you're selling an XYZ brand, and you said that, okay, and I'm selling it to this individual, oftentimes by default, that individual needs to take on that, because the seller says you have to buy it with the brand, the broker says you have to buy it with the brand, because I don't want to pay liquidated damage as I'm exiting. So what happens, by default, there is a natural sell that takes place. So you get out. The new person comes and takes on that, and he signs on another long-term contract with the liquidated damage, and that's the only way you get out. Are there contracts that where you can? Yeah, I mean, when the exit time is there and you're making the transaction right there, you're able to walk out from it. But 9 out of 10 transactions that I know of, it's being, basically you're flipping to the other person. Everything that you're going through, you're just passing it on to the other person. So you are now I don't want to use now the new, I don't want to use the word victim, but you are the new victim of this long-term contract and liquidated damage.
You know, it's so funny. I know people when they're getting divorced and they have to pay alimony. And the only way they can stop paying alimony is when their ex-wife gets married again. And so they're introducing their ex-wife to people.
Exactly. You got it right. Yeah.
So that's what that sounds like. It sounds like they're trying to get rid of their ex-wife.
That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. My advice is, in today's market, in today's DNA, the way things are going, having prenuptial in place. I'm sorry, you all out there.
Man, so someone else who's buying a hotel, they have to absorb this contract that probably doesn't have an expiration date, you know, depending on.
It does have an expiration date, but oftentimes you are not exercising your rights doing that, in exchange. And one of the funny things is also I come across quite a bit. Man, I didn't see that I had to, let the brand know 9 months ago, 1 year ago, 6 months ago, or 3 months ago, and they're like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do, because they forget about it. They write all of these fine, places, sign here, sign here, sign here. They forget about it. And then when it comes, I'm trying to sell the property, and the new buyer doesn't want to take this flag. They want another flag. I don't know what to do. There are certain circumstances where the seller had to take loss in order for the other person to come into play. Please do take the time, look into all these clauses, make plans for these clauses if you are going to get into a long-term contract with the liquidated damage.
Wow. One thing's for sure, COVID has changed a lot of things.
Sure did.
And there's one clause that I don't see in a lot of franchise agreements that I think, especially if they're a new investor, they should fight for, and that's a force majeure clause, where if something happens, like whether it be weather, government, whatever the case may be, that you're at least able to restructure or change or freeze this agreement, because the government can literally just shut down your hotel.
Very true, very true. Just to enlighten all the franchising company that I know of, including our company, we have worked and made sure that, as is, we are all victim of circumstances, and we don't go ahead and become a burdensome for all of us. Are you following what I'm saying? So to the extent where everyone actually worked out some sort of a plan, not just our company, majority company in the market worked out some sort of a plan. But at the same note, what we did for our franchisees, no one in the industry did for their franchisees.
That's fantastic. Yeah. The one thing that really is on my mind, that really irks me sometimes, is those franchising bills. Don't get me wrong. I love the way the franchise brings in the business. They have everything set up. That's great. All I got to do is take those SOPs and take the brand standards, and I'm good to go. But those bills, they get a little pricey. What's a decent percentage in today's market for a franchise fee?
My goodness, that's a tough one. Everyone have their own strategies in place, right? It's the reason I said it's a tough one, because there's a lot of moving parts involved for majority of the franchising companies out there, right? We're a bit different from them, so it's an easy answer for us. It's a complicated answer for them, and I'll just take you a little bit into it so that way you understand where I'm coming from, right?
Okay.
And like you're saying that those bills do increase and stack up, right? And so with the typical franchising company, you have to pay the royalty fee. You have to pay marketing fee. You have to pay guest loyalty fee. Then you have to pay system fee. Then you have other vendors that get engaged, and you have to pay those fees. And
then it's vendor specific. You have to use these vendors.
Then you have certain vendor specific, and you utilize those. So what happened, end of the day, all of those things stacks up, And oftentimes the franchisees when they're taking, they never actually put all of those things together and say, what will be my total number end of the day? They don't know it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of operator who doesn't know how much they pay. And if you ask them, what's your royalty? They'll tell you 6%. What's your royalty? 5%. What's your royalty? 9%. They're just giving you one line item. There's actually a few other line items. You follow what I mean? You're an experienced operator. You know what's going on. You see all those balance sheet. But most of the time when you ask them, they give you one line item saying, oh, I pay only 6%. I pay only 7%, 9%, 4.5%. But oftentimes when you combine them and when you look at the standard report from any of the major company that produces those report, they'll tell you the standard fee is 15%.
Some people think, you know what? I just chose the wrong franchise for my market. You know, the franchise that I have has a bunch of different options. It may be better for me to just rebrand. I seen this happen. It was a Holiday Inn. They went from a Holiday Inn to a Crown Plaza. I'm like, okay, I'm a Crown Plaza now. I can, you know, charge more, make more money. But you know, the Crown Plaza, that hotel wasn't fit for a Crown Plaza because it's designed as a business conference meeting room space product. And that place didn't have any meeting room space. So they changed the name and they didn't take that into consideration when they did the conversion. And a couple of years later, they were right back down to a Holiday Inn. So what's the solution as far as rebranding with the same franchise?
Oh, well, man, I cannot answer for the brands that you bring out. But one thing that as an industry, wide, there is, I call it a flipping flag. Okay, and it happens quite a bit. Different franchisees and different hotel owners have different perspective. They come with all kinds of their own ideas. So when they're flipping flag, they're thinking the sole reason they do that, they think that the other product is better than this product. Oftentimes what I tell them is, before you flip your flag, look within yourself, see if, just because you flipped a flag, sometimes revenue just don't pour in. Oftentimes it has to do with your operation. Believe it or not, you could fill up the hotel and earn a good ADR with some simple stuff in place. And I tell people, please, a lot of time people come across and I'm like, dude, you have a liquidated debit account? Yes. How long do you have? I have 3 years. I have 5 years. I have 10 years left. And then I'm like, it's franchising. First of all, you got to understand, franchising is just like a marriage, right? And I tell them, if things not going to work out, then you go through the divorce. But if you can work it out,
Okay.
Right? Don't go through the hassle of lawsuit, this and that, liquidated damage, mess up your credit and all that kind of stuff. But there are attorneys out there who helps to, legally make these moves. But I tell them, if you can't go through all of those, please work out the deal rather than flipping the flag. But it is a standard where people are flipping flag, and one owner buys with ABCD brand, and he says, I don't like ABCD brand. Whatever reason, it didn't work out for me in one location. I'm going to go with XYZ brand. You can't change that mind. They're investors, they're developers, they're operators. It's normal. Flipping flag it's normal, but if you need to go through it, just like in marriage, if you need to go through the divorce, you go through the divorce, go for a new wife.
Yeah.
You really can't. But believe me, 9 out of 10 time when I see their circumstance, their financial situations, where they're at their life, they share certain things, and I'm not a consultant. I just said, hey, it's a free advice. Take a look at it, see if it makes sense, follow it. If not, it's your choice what you want to do, but it's normal almost.
Okay. Now my next question is about when things go south. So like you said, it's a relationship, and sometimes relationships just don't work. And when those relationships don't work, I think you said it right. It's a marriage, and usually in marriage, the wife always wins. And
there you go. And now
so what are some of the things they can do to protect themselves, throughout that process, during a divorce process?
Like you said, wife always wins. a franchising company always wins, especially if they have that long-term contract, liquidated damage, and all that kind of stuff.
So let's talk about loans. Franchising loans. What are some of the sources, if someone is considering a franchise, what are some of the sources they can get a loan for? I think they have to get a loan for the franchise, they get a loan for the building, they got to get a loan for everything. The fees, it's just crazy how much money they need nowadays.
So when it comes to loan, it's not separate loan for everything. It's one loan for everything, right? So if you're buying, one loan pretty much handles the whole 9 yard. So everything is built into, on your loan, and then so your mortgage covers the first initial transactions all. In terms of getting loans, it depends, what kind of loan you're looking for. There's all kinds of lenders out there. The market that we are in, oftentimes we're engaged with the SBA, and I advise, if you're going to be within that SBA amount, then the loan amount, then definitely go for the SBA because it brings better benefits, right? SBA is there for small businesses, right? You wind up getting a better rate. You wind up getting all kinds of support. You have lower down payments and all that kind of stuff. But if you have to go for conventional, you go for conventional. If your credit is messed up and stuff, you cannot go for SBA. Again, when you're getting loan, you also need to look at the terms and conditions and what you're getting into. Shop around. Just don't blindly believe your broker or whoever you're dealing with. Shop.
A lot of the mistakes that I see new hotel owners and investors make is they believe the numbers that is presented to them. And these hotels, they have thousands of franchisees. Instead of just calling those franchisees, not the list they give them, calling the franchisees out of, just pick them off of Google, talk to the owner, say, what's going on? What's the real deal? What's your real numbers? Don't get involved in the people that they tell you to talk to. Don't get involved in,
I totally agree
the numbers that they give you. Do your own research and don't just stick to one franchise.
Very true, very true. To add little to that, what I'm going to say is that every market segment is different. Like you said, don't be too optimistic by looking at the facts and figure is being presented to you. Oftentimes those facts and figures are taken best location, best property, and there's a fine print that mentions it. You just didn't read the fine print. You saw the big print and you made your plan and everything based on the big print. And I tell them, look, wherever you're buying, know your market, and if you're really getting into it, go out there, spend a week, 2 weeks, spend a few nights in that market, not at that hotel, even different hotel, talk to the locals. But oftentimes a lot of owners they don't actually study the market. They're like, oh, I look at the P&L, look, this hotel only have 30% occupancy, I know I can do 80% occupancy. Have you studied the market? Does the market have 80%? What are you going to do? Just because you bought the hotel, Martian's going to come and fill up your hotel? Come on, don't fool yourself. Go out there, study. Every market is different. A market that have 5,000 population, it's at one segment. Market that have 50,000 population is one segment. Market that have 1 million population is one segment. Location plays a huge role.
For sure.
Don't go out there, it's a 100-room property and I'm going to fill the whole thing up. The market only have 5,000 population. It's a highway property or a small town. Do your homework. Do your due diligence. When you're going to buy a hotel, please make sure that you study the demographic. Look where the money comes from. Is it the highway? Is it those seasonal work? What kind of work is available there? Is there a government contract? Is there a vacation spot? You need to literally sit down and look at the sources where the money is going to come. Remember earlier today you were saying, hey, why so many people choose this location? I don't see nothing but a couple of sports team around here. But why is this city so magnetic, right? And to answer to that, like I was telling you, that I moved here for education of my children.
Yeah.
But there's another wisdom behind it. Most of these successful companies have presentation in here.
Okay.
This is an old, rich city, man, Dallas.
Okay.
We have some of the richest companies. Home is right here, and we are magnet. We are bringing people from all over, and I invite everyone to come over because, man, Dallas, we're growing like crazy.
Okay, so it's not just Jerry Jones bringing everybody over.
Nah, Jerry, I can't give you all that credit, man. You know, you ain't that good looking that because of you, everybody's coming.
Now, what role does the management company play when it comes to either turning your independent hotel into a franchise or starting and investing to a new hotel? What role does the management company
Well, it depends on, how you're looking at the management company, right? There are certain portfolio can afford a management company, certain portfolio cannot afford a management company. But management company plays a significant role for investors. Management company plays a significant role for those people who think they don't know at all, but they don't. Hospitality industry is not a one-man show. It is a one-man show for certain hoteliers. I mean, when I first got into the business, it was a family business. We all, worked, to make things happen. But as you move on, you need to bring in other people to take on certain part. Small hotelier, economy hoteliers, they wear all the hats, right? I am the revenue management, I am the accountant, I am the housekeeping, I am the maintenance, I am the bill boy, I am everything. And they're working 24/7, 365.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's a whole new game. But when you move up from that, you made some money, and you go into multiple properties, you know what you're doing, you have some experience, then you know that, hey, I can't do this on my own. I've got 3 hotel, I've got 4 hotel, I need to put together a management company, or I need to bring on a management company who knows what they're doing. So it depends on the portfolio where you are. Sometimes, I've seen owners who have multiple locations that can go places. They have now done their dues and they've reached their age where I say, why are you killing yourself? You got 4 or 5 property, give it to a management company. There are a lot of reasonable management companies out there. Believe me, management companies are not all that expensive.
Yeah.
There are some of the, good reputable management company. If somebody calls me and says, Sharif, where should I go? I can give you some numbers and saying, go. I mean, these guys are big and they'll charge you very reasonable fee. Believe it or not, I mean, you can find a good management company for 3%, 5%.
Yeah.
People think the management companies are like, 8%, 10%, 12%. Not. I mean, you yourself, done.
And I work with a lot of management companies. So
So it's pretty affordable. But what I would say is, for those hotel owners out there who is like, first of all, if you can do it on your own, my friend, go ahead and do it. But there are times when you really need to pass it on to somebody to do it right. And management company can come and do it right. But do your due diligence. Don't just hand your property to anybody because they say they're a management company. Look for people that have grown within the industry. They have gone through all of it, and they understand what's a revenue management, what's an inventory management. They understand the bottom line. There's pros and cons in every segment.
For sure.
Make sure you do your due diligence before you hire somebody.
Okay. Well, that is our time for today. How can everybody get in contact with you?
I'm easy to reach. You can search for Sharif Khan on LinkedIn and Stay Express. You can find me. But you can directly contact me. On my cell number 325-320-4200. You can also email me. That's Khan@stayexpress.com. Khan at KHAN, Kite, Harry, Apple, Nancy @stayexpress.com. Oftentimes people make mistake on that, so I spell it out. Stay Express is STAY express.com, like you're staying express. So stayexpress.com.
Fantastic. And thank you for tuning in to another episode of True Hotel Leaders. where leaders help leaders. And we'll see you in the next one.